I had read part of an interview or a post you'd written earlier that had a Spider-Man reference where you said that a lot of literary agents are kind of opaque and difficult to see, and even if there's something not going in, and you feel like Spider-Man climbing up on a black glass building, you can't see into the place. To which the nerd in me thought, well, no, but he has Spidey sense, so at least know
Yes.
if there's evil going on inside the literary agency. But you've talked about you're very public. You've made time for us not only tonight, but you wrote a guest post and faced the 7 questions.
Yes, I remember. I love that.
At middlegradeninja.com. Check those out, esteemed audience. And then you also you're out and about on several podcasts, letting people know what's going on at Trident Media Group and letting people know demystifying being a literary agent. Why is that important to do?
So, right. I talk about this in some different interviews, that feeling I got, this impression among authors that they didn't understand what literary agents really were or what they really did, certainly for new authors, and that there was this kind of air that agents put on of like, this is where the cool kids are, and you're not going to know what's going on in the nightclub unless you gain access to it. And when I started working at the agency where I'm at, I'm not saying it was a lot like that, but certainly among other agencies, like you would go to, ICM or Writers House's website, and you would just see a landing page. It was just, maybe it was the earlier days of the internet, but you would just see a landing page with the company logo, the phone number and email, mainline email address, and that was it. It was like just hitting a wall. And there was no face or humanness to it. And when I started at the agency where I worked, I said to the company controllers, I said, let's not do that. And they said, why not? And they said, all our competitors are doing that. And I said, exactly, we should be different. And I said, let's open all the doors, open all the windows, let people look inside and see the wonderful things going on in here and make them feel at home and a part of it, and that they're like a guest, and so we did that, and I think it was a much, better result. And then at the same time, they were very turned off by the idea of us having social media. They said, what do we need a Facebook page for? What do we need a Twitter page for? What do we need an Instagram? And I said, well, all these authors and these publishers are starting to do this. And I think agents are going to kind of get, they're going to wake up to this and start doing this themselves. And I said, we should start doing this. And so I built our company website at the time and built out our social media. Other people run the social media for the most part now at the agency. I help maintain the website still, but and that ever since then, no one ever really looked back. It was much better that way. So yeah.
Well, here's something I noticed right away when I go to the website, because I'm somebody that has visited lots of agent websites, all for you, esteemed audience, to bring you the best interviews available. But frequently, there may not even be an email address. There's fill out this query form, which is obnoxious if you're me, and I just want to say, hey, you want to come on my podcast? I don't want to fill out your whole query form just for that. But you've got not only your email address listed, you've got we know which floor of which building you're on.
Right.
Then we've got your phone number, which I'm assuming, I don't know if somebody dials that number, maybe it's better not to say. If somebody dials that number, you don't pick up and say, hey, it's Mark, do you?
Well, so there were, even within the agency, there was some pushback about that. People, wanted their privacy and they didn't want people to have too much access to them and all that. And so for folks like that, I said to them, just put up your assistant's email and put up your assistant's phone number. For me, I put my own contact details on there. I wanted people to feel like they can reach me. Obviously, if they send a query letter, they do have to go through the website because, we ask them to agree to certain terms and conditions. Most agencies, operate that way. And Yeah, so that they just can select the name from there. But other people who want to kind of reach out to us in other ways or something like that, then yeah, the contact details are there on our individual agent pages.
I think that helps you weed out people right away if they can't be bothered to check on how the proper submission should come through for you if they're just shooting you a random email. That lets you know that, hey, maybe I'll still look at the proposal, maybe I won't, but this is somebody that's not. What signal does that send to you?
Well, I mean, we created the submissions form on the site because before that, people would send like a self-addressed stamped envelope, which no one really does anymore. But they would send that to everyone at the agency, and then everyone would get the same phone call or everyone would get the same email. And the submission form basically limits that because after someone sends a submission, they get a receipt by email that, okay, we've received your submission. We'll get back to you. I forget what the time frame is, like 30 days. If you don't hear from us at that point, you can query again or someone else at the agency. But the form will automatically, block people from doing kind of these like multiples of one submission to every agent at the agency. Um, it's better for the author too that way. They should really think about who they want to work with at the agency and kind of not waste everyone's time. So that's sort of why we do that.